Good morning, everybody. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. We're almost at the end of the week. And also, we are now at the beginning of May. So, welcome to May. Uh, Basically, we are also halfway through Q2. As you would normally think about it in business settings, and you think about it in quarters. So, we are here at the beginning of May, almost in the second month of Q2. And more importantly, more special to me, is today is also my 1 day anniversary. Excuse I said 1 day, 1 year anniversary of starting all my social media platforms. Isn't that crazy how fast a year can go? But today is my 1 year anniversary, guys. If you can believe that, that's crazy. And I know this for a fact because prior to May 1st of last year, I was under a very strict social media policy. So I really didn't have a lot of social media platforms. So I am positive that I started everything on May 1st because that's when I was released from my social media moratorium. And here we are, 1 year later on May 1st. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is crazy. So thank you all for that support. Thank you all for the love and the likes and the shares and all that good stuff. All the great feedback you guys give me, and for the time that we spend here on stream. Thank you so much for that. As I keep on telling people, I really thought that 400 people in the first year would be a success. When I was planning everything and starting out, I thought, if I could just get 400 people in the first year, that would be fantastic, right? And here we are, more than 140,000 people across all the different platforms, almost 150 across the different platforms. I've met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, had a lot of interesting conversations. I've been to a couple of conferences. Yeah, so we're just going to keep going. And by the way, so right before this stream, for the first time ever, you guys have been asking for it, for the first time ever, I did post a day in the life video. I've never done that. Everybody's been asking for, what do you do? What's your day like? Everybody's been asking for that. But for the first time ever, I have posted a day in the life video. So feel free to look that up on Instagram because I did put that up there. So hope you guys enjoy that. Let me know what you guys think about it. We're already getting some chats, so might as well just go to the chats. Surin, so nice to see you. Welcome back. Surin says, congratulations on your anniversary. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's been crazy, guys. It's been crazy. And as I tell people the story, the first month, I was creating a lot of content, putting it out there, but nobody was watching, nobody really, nothing, right? And I remember that during the last weekend of May, I had a family trip that we went on. And that weekend, my Instagram went crazy. It was the first time I had a post go viral. And, it got me that got me my first 5,000 followers that week. But for that first month, I was posting and posting and posting. I had like 12 followers on Instagram, like 5 on YouTube. Nobody was coming to the lives. I was talking to myself. And here we are a year later. It's been crazy. So thank you, sir, and appreciate the good wishes. Denelson, our good friend Denelson from LA, says, good morning, Mr. Dennis. Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary. We hope you have many more. Yeah, thank you so much, Denelson. I appreciate that. I hope to have many more too. This is what I do full time, guys. People ask me that, like, so what do you do for work? This is it. This is work, guys. It's hard to put this stuff together, Like when I was doing the planning and I had to get all like the lights and the cameras and figure out all this stuff, it's not easy. This stuff is work. But yeah, I'm committed to this, Denelson. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life in one form or another. I just want to keep out. I just love data science, and I want to gosh, I can't talk today. Keep putting out good information out there. That's always been the goal. And that's always going to be the goal. AP2 says, congrats, Dennis. I have been following you on YouTube. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Lots of great followers on YouTube and on Instagram. So thanks so much. Appreciate the good wishes. Priyanshu. Hey, Priyanshu, how are you? Priyanshu says, hi, love from India. Well, thank you, Priyanshu. It's very nice of you, and I love all my Indian followers. I have lots of followers in India. India is my second largest demographic, I think, or geography, I should say. First one is still US, but not by much. India is right there in second. So really appreciate all the support and love from India. So hope you're doing well out there. I know that India can start to get a little warm this time of year, but hope you guys are doing well. So thanks so much, guys. And if you're in the chat, don't be shy. Feel free to say hello. Just say hi or let us know where you're from, whatever you'd like. But today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to continue our series on building my data science school. And as some of you guys know, I know some of you have been following me for a long time. I resisted the idea of doing pre-recorded content for a long time. I love doing the lives with you guys, and we're still doing the Sunday series. That's not going to change. But pre-recorded content was always tough, and kind of a little bit boring on my end. But now with a lot of the AI tools and the avatars and the like the voice to text, voice to imaging type of tools that are available, I want to go ahead and do it. So I've started that effort, and I know some of you in the chat have already signed up. Surin, I know you've signed up. Denelson, I know you've signed up. Thank you so much. I'm going to start my own data science school. But here's the thing, guys. I want to prove that this idea is viable. So I'm running an experiment. I'm asking to find 1,000 people that want to sign up for the data science school. I want to see that before August 1st, because that's when I intend to launch. If I can't get that number, that's okay. I'll stop the idea. Maybe, try it another time. Maybe try it next year. Everybody will get their money back. Nobody's going to lose a dime. And, we'll go from there. But I'm optimistic that there's 1,000 people out there that want to do this. There should be, right? I'm going to be less expensive than Netflix in most countries, right? So if you're really serious about data science, I think people would be willing to sign up, be a founding member, and support the opening of the school. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But one of the things I'm doing as part of that effort is I'm building the school in public. So that's the whole purpose of these live streams. I'm going to build the school in public. Last week, I thought we had some really good discussion about the curriculum and different ideas there, and I've incorporated some of those ideas. I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of the interface that I'm using to create the school itself, like the software that powers the school, and then just kind of go from there, right? So what I'd like to do today is I'd like to bring up the curriculum that we had been working on last time. And then what we can start to do is we can start to fill out some of these portions of the curriculum. So let me do this. Let me put this up on the screen. Oh, I haven't shared out my classroom yet. Okay. So there's the classroom view. And I should probably bring up the school itself. So let me do that real quick. So if you go to school.datasciencewithdennis.com, this is the homepage of the school as it exists now. And you can register here, or you can register via the link that's in your chat. But the whole point is that this is going to show you some of the courses that I have planned. And you can see that at the bottom, well, you can see that I've already created some images for the courses. I've color-coded them orange, green, blue, and red. But here we have a bunch of different ones that do not have images yet, because these are basically courses that we added as a group. These courses were basically the result of the streams from last week, right? Because I streamed last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And these are the ideas that the group came up with. So I'm happy to work on these courses. Some of these are going to take me more time to develop than others. But this is a pretty good addition to everything else I had envisioned. So Priyanshu in the chat asks, "Can you tell me what does it mean? What does a founding member mean here?" So Priyanshu, a founding member is going to be somebody who's recognized throughout the life of the school as being one of the initial supporters. It means that you subscribe today, and then you're paying $5 a month, which is the same fee that the school will be. And you also get a special badge when you're a member of the school. You'll be recognized as a founding member. So I'm basically asking people to subscribe ahead of time before the opening, and that's the founding side, right? Because they're willing to commit to say, "Hey, I want to support the school, and so I want to recognize those people as founding members." So that's what that means here. I have given thought to maybe once the school opens that it would be a higher price than what the founding members have paid. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. My overall goal is to keep the school as accessible as possible. I know if you've attended the other streams, you've heard this statistic, but I want to share it with you guys because I think it's just a fascinating statistic. I did my own research on this. So obviously, I keep a close eye on my channel analytics, right? On the analytics of my followers that YouTube gives me, that Instagram gives me, that other sources give me. And I skew to a younger audience. The majority of my audience are males under 34 years old. And that makes sense because data science is a growing field. It's not a new field, but it's a growing field. A lot of young people are interested in it. So I'm happy to accept that I'm going to have younger viewers, right? My population is always going to skew younger, and that's cool. And by the way, I see this in other ways, right? I get a lot of viewers from North Africa. I get a lot of viewers from India. I get a lot of viewers from a couple of other developing nations. But for example, I don't have a lot of viewers in Japan. I don't have a lot of viewers in Korea. So in my mind, I also tie that to fertility rates because most developing nations have pretty healthy fertility rates, right? A lot of first world nations don't have healthy fertility rates. So if I'm willing to accept that, and I know that most of my followers are going to be younger, they're going to be in developing nations, then I have to price myself accordingly. So the statistic I found is I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me good sources. What percentage of the world's population is of the world population under 24 years old is living in a developing nation? And you know what the answer is? The answer is more than 80%. More than 80% of the global population under age 24, it lives in a developing nation. So I'm trying to make this all as accessible as possible, no matter where you are. So $5, that's less than Netflix in just about every country on the planet. Right? Because Netflix has different pricing across the globe, right? I think most people know that. At $5 a month, I am less than Netflix in the majority of countries. If Netflix costs less than that in your country, let me know, and maybe I'll make you a special offer or a special scholarship. But for most countries, I'm going to be lower than Netflix. Vivek, nice to see you. How are you? Vivek over on Instagram. Hi, sir. Good morning. Love from Nepal, currently NYC. Okay, cool. You're from Nepal, or you're visiting NYC, or you moved there? Let me know. I am new in data science domain. I choose this just because of my huge interest in calc and maths. Or maybe you meant code and maths. That's a good idea. Want to contribute via DS and learn more from you? Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Vivek. I appreciate you being here. I get quite a few viewers from Nepal. Believe it or not, Vivek, you're not my first viewer from Nepal. So glad you're here. Let us know how we can help. Actually, you know what? I haven't posted it in my Instagram. Give me just a second. So Vivek, over on Instagram, I just pinned a comment in the chat where you can sign up for the data science school. I'm trying to open on August 1st. If I can get enough interest. And yes, if you want to learn, if you're kind of starting from a From a base level, feel free to sign up. I'm also going to have more advanced courses as the school grows and develops. But glad you're here, Vivek. Just keep on coming back. Doodle Dad Lifts. Doodle Dad, I think you've been here before, so welcome back. Doodle Dad says, is there a course to teach data drivers for business needs, like explaining ML models? Doodle Dad, great question. So I wouldn't call that a course. I would call that like an overall theme that you would see. So for example, if I go back to my list, where was it? Here. So like, for example, if we're looking at the data science for executive section, or we're looking at the AI for data science section, I'm looking at this, agents for business. That was a suggestion that came out of the streams last week. You guys came up with that suggestion. I think it's a great one. It'd be really hard to talk about agents for business without talking about like the underlying machine learning, or what are the drivers, or what are the business need drivers that create that need, or create those projects, right? Or if I'm talking here under data science project planning, same thing, right? It'd be really hard to cover that course and not touch upon that in some way, right? So I appreciate the suggestion. I don't see it as its individual course. It's just going to be a theme throughout. So that's how I would characterize that. And also, guys, I know there's a couple of you here that are probably seeing the curriculum for this first time. Just to be clear, the bold items that you see is not the course. That's like the grouping or the theme or the category of the course. The courses themselves are the individual bullet points. So another thing we could do today is we could start to fill out these items and start doing the sub items. Because in my head, I've already mapped these out as far as like, oh yeah, in this course, I want to talk about this. And oh, I really need to teach this. And this is where it fits best. So on and so forth, right? So, Doodle Dad, if you want to suggest where that should go or what that topic should be called, I'm all ears. I'm willing to listen and maybe add it as a subtopic. You can see here, like in the continuing education section under data science, we talked about how to read white papers, how you evaluate new tools, how do you keep up with the AI changes. Those are all 3 items that people in the chat suggested. And again, these are subtopics. It's one course, but these are the topics that course would cover. So if you guys want to have something that you want to add, let's do that. I'm going to start by adding some of the ones that I have in my head. I just haven't expressed them out yet, right? Vivek says, sure, sir. Thank you for your kind words. I moved here for my undergrad. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I lived in New York City for about 18 months. Well, in the greater New York area. I was on the New Jersey side. But yeah, great city to be a student in. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying it. Summers in New York are beautiful, beautiful summers in New York. So I hope you enjoy that. I might go out to New York sometime this summer. There's a conference out there I might go to. I haven't really decided yet. But yeah, thanks for being here, Vivek. And Vivek, feel free to keep on coming back. All right, so Doodle Dad says, I think the toughest thing for me is when stakeholders ask for what they are seeing as a metric. Why is that happening? And then struggling to decipher through the many models and explain them. You know what, Doodle Dad? I can appreciate that you're bringing a real world problem to the chat, because I think, and obviously you sound like a little bit more of an experienced data scientist, which is great. I think that what you're describing is a very common thing among, really among all data scientists. So I'm trying to find a way to express this. I think another challenge you would have, Doodle Dad, and give me some feedback in the chat. Let me know if this has been your experience. And I'm saying this for the benefit of everybody in the chat. What Doodle Dad is describing there, as far as you develop a model, you present it, you tell the stakeholders, hey, this is where I think we're headed, or this is what's happening, and the stakeholder says, whoa, wait a minute, what do you mean that's happening? Why? Super common scenario. You guys will 100% come across this. So Doodle Dad, the other complication in what you're describing is, how do you explain that in a consumable way? How do you explain that without sounding like a total geek, right? How do you explain that without losing your audience, right? Because as soon as you start talking about, well, the precision levels say this and the recall says this, and if you look at this confusion matrix, you're going to lose them, right? You're going to lose them 5 seconds into your explanation. So I think that's the real challenge, and that's going to be part of the soft skills for data science, right? How do you develop a deck that is effective? How do you develop visuals that are effective? Which keep in mind might be different than a visualization, right? There's visualizations you want to use on your dashboards and in your Excel sheets, but then there's a completely different set of visualizations you want to use in your deck, right? Doodle Dad says, actually, I'm jumping ahead here. Well, let me read Doodle Dad's latest. Doodle Dad says, maybe there could be an addition of mock business use cases like business operation, example assembly. Why is a certain part slow, and give reasons? So maybe use case about how to report, how to structure it, PowerPoint, big lengthy report, etc. Okay. Yeah, you know what? What do you think about down here, Doodle Dad? Oh, excuse me, I don't have my classroom view. So we talked about having like a general data science resources section, and that could certainly be under project ideas or project challenges. Something like that maybe would make a good project challenge. But you know what? At the same time, though, Doodle Dad, here's the challenge. There's so many different scenarios where you're going to be doing that. I had a one-on-one coaching session with a client yesterday. And by the way, I'll no matter what I do with the school, I'll still always 100% offer the one-on-one coaching. I love doing that part of my business. I love working with guys individually. So if you want a one-on-one coaching session, let me know. But I was talking with a client yesterday who's going into the financial services industry. He's already an established data scientist, but he's going to make a significant move across industries and go into financial services, which I have a background in. And how you would do a presentation at most companies, like Doodle Dad talks about an assembly plant or some sort of manufacturing plant, let's say. How you would do a presentation there is completely different than how you would do it at a financial services company. So when I was talking to my client yesterday, we were talking about how in a large company like a manufacturing company, you might be the one calling the meeting. You're going to set the agenda. You're going to be able to, pick the room and set yourself up nicely and all this other stuff, right? Maybe, pick assistants, to help you, have a video demo, whatever, right? You don't always do that at a financial services company. And you definitely won't be doing it the higher up you go as far as your presentation audience, right? You won't be setting the meeting. The assistants take care of that. You're not going to have the whole meeting. You maybe just get 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to be part of a bigger meeting, right? So you're going to be one topic that the managing directors or the directors, you're going to be one topic of 7 that they might hear about in this 2-hour meeting. And you're going to be just in and out, right? You're just going to be going in and out like the other presenters, right? They're just going to tell you, we're going to be ready for you between 9:40 and 10 o'clock. So be ready, right? Because they don't know how the timing of the other stuff before you is going to go. So that's completely different, right? That's a whole different setup. It's a whole different audience, and it's a whole different way of explaining things, right? Like, you got to be really careful in how you explain things to to the executives because they're usually not technical people, right? They're also the most likely to give you pushback, right? Because, coming back to Doodle Dad's initial post, they're the ones that are going to tell you, whoa, 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 wait a minute. We've been doing the same sales for 20 years, like the same method of sales for 20 years. And you're telling me I got to change that now? Like, do you know how many houses and cars I bought by following my same sales process for the last 20 years? And you're telling me I got to change that now? You got here yesterday. I've been here for 20 years. What are you talking about? That's the hard one. What are you guys going to reply then? Put that in the chat, right? What are you going to say then, right? Who the hell is this data science guy? He got here yesterday. I've been here for 20 years. And you're telling me I got to change my sales process? Get the hell out of here. Right? You're going to get that. Like, that happens. Like, you're going to get beat up in meetings sometimes, right? That's the hard one. So think about that one, guys. Now, how do I teach that? I don't know. That's a hard one. Maybe that's why I like the one-on-one work so much, Who knows? But how do you teach that? Not easy. Some stuff you're just going to have to live through, right? You got to get beat up a couple times to know how to survive sometimes, right? Rizwan joining us over on Instagram says, "Hey Dennis, I got the job as an AI intern." Hey, congratulations! That's awesome. I love hearing when people get jobs or find connections. Guys, let's do some emojis in the chat for Rizwan. Congratulations, Rizwan. Happy to see. I know it's not your first time here. I know you've been a supporter in the past. So thanks so much for that. Rizwan, if you're comfortable, let us know a little bit about the position. Like, what does it entail? Who is it with? If there's stuff you can share with us, let us know. But congratulations. How long is it? Did you already start? Let us know, Rizwan, whatever you're comfortable sharing. But guys, let's give some congratulations to Rizwan. That's a cool thing. I gotta say, guys, it's pretty cool. When I see that, I've seen people who get jobs, who get internships. I recently coached a client through a new job change. As a matter of fact, they start the new job in a couple of days here. I'm coaching another client through a new job search. I get people messaging me telling me that my stuff helped, and that's really cool. So, I also get people who find each other on the Discord and they do research with each other. Or, I had two people get together to do their master's thesis together from completely different parts of the world. So that's really cool. But Rizwan, congratulations. Feel free to share anything else you'd like about it, or whatever you're able to share. Doodle Dad said, "Oh man, am I not getting that?" Sorry guys, I'm going to try to keep up with the Instagram chats. It looks like my chat program isn't always keeping up with that. And how's my YouTube chat? My YouTube chat's okay. All right. C Analytics says, "Congratulations. Great job, Rizwan." Yeah, great job. Really happy for you guys. I get so excited when I hear you guys get jobs. That's awesome. Doodle Dad says, "Thank you, Dennis. I'm going to book on one-on-one." Yeah, sure. Would love to work with you. The one-on-ones are definitely great for stuff like this, where it's not necessarily like a simple answer. It has to be customized to what you're doing, to what your specific situation is with, the industry or the company or whatever it is. The example I'm giving from yesterday was very specific to this client because, they're making this transition. But other things, I'm happy to practice with you guys. I do role play with my clients. So happy to help. But yeah, if you guys want to give me some feedback in the chat, what are you going to reply? What are you going to say when you're standing up in front of 6, 7 other directors and managing directors? You're in there, you're presenting your latest model. Look at all the great work we've done. Our team has worked hard. We've got this great model with these results, and I got my visuals. I double checked everything. There's no spelling mistakes. I was on time. Maybe I'm wearing my best suit in a cool tie, and the managing director just just gives you a knockout punch and says, I'm not changing my sales process because this guy that just got here yesterday said I need to change it. What are you talking about? What are you going to reply then, guys? Not an easy situation. You know what? I'm not embarrassed to tell you this, but when I first started working in a bank, one of the things you know what I miss the most about working for banks is they give you great training. And they gave us this really good training, and they talked about how you're going to have difficult conversations. You're going to get beat up in calls, right? And I was sitting there thinking, I'm a smart guy. This wasn't my first job. It wasn't my first job by a long shot. I was a mid-career professional when I started working for banks. I'm pretty smart, I'm okay at communication. I'm not going to get beat up too bad. About 3 months later, I got beat up so bad on a phone call. I got beat up. I got beat up so bad that when the phone call ended, the project manager called me up afterwards and asked me if I was okay. Okay, when they call you afterwards to make sure you're okay, you got beat up good, right? But I learned, never happened to me again, right? But it's going to happen as a data scientist, guys. When I share this stuff with you, I think one of the reasons why my audience has grown is because I'm sharing real world stuff with you. So when I'm telling you you're going to get beat up in phone calls, it's because I've been beat up in phone calls. But it happens. It happens to the best of us. Any professional you talk to, they'll tell you the same thing. You're going to get beat up, right? You got to be ready for it. So Doodle Dad says, they often ignore the numbers presented. When you give bad news, though, nothing changes on their side. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's not uncommon. And just last week, I posted a video about that. I posted my favorite scene from the movie Moneyball. If you guys haven't seen that one, you gotta see the movie and go check out my post. But there's a great scene at the end of that movie where somebody who admires the data science work they're doing, he tells them, hey, first guy through the wall always gets bloody, right? And they're right? First guy through the wall is always going to get bloody. You can't put out groundbreaking information and not expect somebody to punch you in the nose. Like, it's going to happen, right? And you have to be willing to do that in data science. You have to be willing to say, hey, you know what? I'm taking a risk here, but I'm a data-oriented guy. I run the data experiments, and this is what the data says. Right? Yabba Dabba Doo says, Yabba Dabba Doo, welcome back. I know it's not your first time. I know you've been here before, so thank you. Welcome back. If they have a few people to spare, do A/B testing. Maybe. Here's the thing, Yabba Dabba. Not all real-world data science lends itself to A/B testing. Coming back to Doodle Dad's example, I think he gave an example of an assembly plant or a manufacturing plant. You can't always do A/B testing when raw materials are expensive or when pieces to make cost like thousands of dollars, right? Or if you're talking about some sort of expenditure or some sort of time investment that they're going to have to make, not everybody's going to want that. Or what if the plant or the process or whatever only produces 20 widgets a day? Well, 20 widgets a day is going to require a very long experiment to get to the critical mass you need for A/B testing. Right? A/B testing usually requires some fairly large sample size to make a determination, right? And guess what? A/B tests don't always have a clear winner, right? I mean, that's one of the possible results that people forget about in A/B testing. A/B testing doesn't always tell you which way to go. It can tell you and say, they're kind of the same. Or, A/B testing can tell you, there was a slight difference, but it's not statistically significant. A lot of experiments end that way, right? So if they give you pushback and you tell them, okay, let's run a test, and then your test doesn't give conclusive results, have you won? You haven't, right? You probably weakened your position to those executives, right? So yabba dabba, it sounds good in theory, right? And A/B testing does have its place. I've definitely used it in many business cases. I mean, it is helpful, but it's not always the answer. Not in a large number of real world scenarios. So keep that in mind. You're much better off asking the questions of Doodle Dad and talking about, like, what are the soft skills I need to sell my ideas? Because that's as crazy as it sounds, that's probably like the easier road, right? Doodle Dad, another thing you guys want to think about, and really for anybody else with soft skills, this is another one of the reasons why I tell you guys that having the soft skills to be able to walk around and introduce yourself and talk to people on their level in plain English is super important. Because the reality is that if we think about the scenarios that Doodle Dad has proposed, if you're trying to win that in a meeting where you only have 10 minutes and you're one of 7 topics the director's going to hear about that day, you've probably already lost, right? The sales process begins outside of that meeting, kind of like leading up to it, or the everyday interactions you have with those same directors. Like when they ask you a question, are you able to give a good answer? Because that determines whether they think you're an idiot or not. And then that makes that presentation in front of them, where you are challenging them, that makes that a lot easier, right? So that's why I talk about how you carry yourself, how you introduce yourself. Are you able to kind of talk about what it is that you do and your capabilities in a very short way? Because you should be doing that on a regular basis. That's how you really win them over. If you're trying to win them over in a 10-minute meeting, that's a low probability of success, right? Don't do that. So something else to think about there, Doodle Dad. Doodle Dad has a lot of syllables. We got to come up with a easier name to say than that. But those are different things to think about. I have no idea how you encapsulate that and put that into a course. So we'll see. We'll see how that ends up. But if you are joining us in the chat, because I'm still seeing a few people on Instagram, let us know how you're doing. Say hello. Any questions you want to talk about, let me know. Otherwise, we can start looking. We can start to go back to the curriculum and start looking at different things that we can add to the curriculum if we want. Give me just a second here to view my feeds. Yep, everything is going good on my feeds. So why don't we go and focus on this list? Let me start filling out some of the subtopics. Rafa, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for signing up for the course. Like I said, I know there's a couple of you guys who already signed up for the school. So Rafa, thank you so much. Denelson, who was the other one? Somebody else had, Surin, thank you so much for signing up. If you guys want to sign up, the link is in your chat. I'm looking for 1,000 people. I want to see that this idea is viable. If not, I will have to shelve the idea, but I'm going to stay positive. I think we can find it. And we're going to keep on doing these live streams. Hopefully people will see where I'm headed with this. So Rafa says, hi, Dennis. Would you say acquiring those soft skills is more challenging than getting good at more technical aspects of DS? 100%. 100%. The soft skills is very difficult. And the tech skills of data science have the barriers to that have greatly been reduced because of AI, right? Because I haven't talked about AI at all in everything I just said, right? So yeah, absolutely. The challenge of obtaining good soft skills has stayed up here, while the data science part, the technical part of it, as you say, has significantly dropped, right? And if you guys saw my interview with Ben Nee from Google, right? Google now has like like a data scientist in a box type of AI tool. So yeah, I mean now it's even just simple domain experts can use the data science side. So there, the level of skill there using a tool like that has definitely, of technical skill has definitely dropped. Whereas the soft skills has always stayed high, right? Because no matter what tool you're using or what model or what your models say, you're still going to have to present it to the decision makers, right? To the budget holders, to the people that are going to authorize you to have more a larger staff or whatnot, right? Like that's never going to change. Like you're not going to have a managing director all of a sudden take up data science. Like they're still going to need it explained to them. Like you're always going to have to explain your rationale or your interpretation of results, right? So yeah, Rafa, good question. Good question. Yeah, but the soft skills super critical, and they've always been critical, right? Because some people that were doing data science for a long time didn't have it, right? Like that's one of the reasons why you guys know that I'm really not a fan of PhDs, because they had terrible soft skills, right? Like I remember I remember I took over this one data science team, and you know I'm smart. I'm not going to come in there and just start making changes right away. I sat back, observed everything for like the first month. And I remember the first meeting, we had our meetings with the executives on Thursdays. The first meeting, the existing data scientists walked in, because it's like my fourth day there, right? So I wasn't involved in preparing for the meeting. They walk in, these PhDs, and they start putting up these confusion matrices up on the screen, talking about like the different decimal values and things like that. And it wasn't like color coded, it was just like a simple black and white confusion matrix. And I was looking over at the executives, and they were just like, they were lost, right? Eyes rolling in the back of their head. And I just came out of that meeting thinking, what in the world are you guys doing? From now on, no more presentations. I'll handle the presentations, because you got to be careful with that, right? You got to be careful when you do that. Sometimes you're not going to get too many opportunities to present your results or to make that pitch for more time or more resources or more whatever, right? So super critical, super critical. Doodle Dad, I'm going to assume this was you. I just got a new request for a one-on-one consultation. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Look forward to working with you. Anybody else who wants a one-on-one consultation, the link is it's in all of my profiles. But happy to work with you one-on-one for these types of times where you need something specific to you, to your industry, to your problem, to whatever. Okay? All right. So, yeah, Doodle Dad, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Meeting booked. Yeah, look forward to working with you. I have some really, really great one-on-one clients right now. So, really enjoy that aspect of the work. All right, so why don't we we keep on getting derailed here, guys. So let's go back to the list of courses, and I'm going to start doing a brain dump of different things that I want to talk about in each of these courses. Now, you're going to have to forgive me here because my ADD is going to take over here and maybe jump around a little bit too much. But also, keep in mind that I got to hold some things back in these live streams. I want all of you to be surprised also when you join the school, right? So I'm not going to post every single thing I have in mind, but, a good part of it. Okay. Basics of numbers. Can't talk about numbers without talking about scalar values, right? Definitely want to talk about that. One of the greatest math books I've ever read, um, it's Mathematics for Engineering. It's on my shelf back here somewhere. Um, it really changed me just by the first chapter alone, because the author is really good on it makes a really good case for estimation, right? He talks about how so much of math is just coming up with an estimation. Well, excuse me. So much of math is really just refining an estimate, right? Like if you break down most math, what you're really doing is you're trying to get down to a refined estimate. So you working on your own personal skills of estimation of numbers, super critical to understanding math. And I read that about, I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago. And I've been working on my estimation skills since then. And I got to tell you, that's really made a difference for me. Just thinking about, how you can refine your own personal estimates like really quickly in your head. Super beneficial. All right, so quick opportunity for participation. Who knows what MMR is? Put that in the chat. What does MMR stand for? You can't talk about causality without talking about how it relates to data science, right? So I have that there. But let me know in the chat. Question for the chat right now is, what does MMR stand for? Let me see where else I want to go with this. Okay, anti-web scraping for data. I like that course. Advanced statistics. It would be impossible to talk about advanced statistics without talking about p-values. And that reminds me that up here, I want to talk about distributions. I also want to talk about the law of big numbers. Right? You got to talk about that. You can't talk about statistics without that, right? Hey, speaking of these basics of statistics, this morning on my Instagram, I posted a challenge on some statistics I posted. If you want some nice fun practice, go to my Instagram. Check out the post I made. Prasad says no audio. Prasad, that's usually limited to people on Instagram. It's usually a local problem. So please check your volume settings, okay? Yabba Dabba Doo says mean, median, mode, range. Not sure really. Why do you say not sure? You gotta. Okay. Yabba Dabba Doo. Well, first of all, chat, is he right? Put that in the chat. Surin says statistical measures to describe and analyze data. Yeah, but what are they, Surin? Like what's the definition of it? Okay, so guys, Yabba Dabba Doo. I don't mean to. You know what? Yabba Dabba Doo has a lot of syllables too. You guys have some long names today. So Yabba Dabba Doo. I don't mean to pick on you. But we're going to come back to all the great questions and all the great discussion we've had about soft skills, okay? So part of soft skills is having confidence, right? We got to have confidence in how we introduce ourselves, how we carry ourselves, how we talk to others, especially as data scientists, right? So you can't give an answer and say, not sure really. If you do that, your audience will eat you alive, okay? So as I've said before in some of my content, a lot of the skill of a data scientist is just being able to carry yourself as an authority on numbers and algorithms, right? You have to be able to walk into any room and say, "Hi, I'm Dennis. I'm your chief data scientist. I've been with the company for 3 years now. I lead a team of 4 really talented data scientists. And today I'd like to talk to you about the work that we've been doing, looking at your data and some of the results that we have to present to you, and some plans for the future that we think we'd like to share with you." Like, you have to be able to do that. You can't walk in and say, "Yeah, hi, I'm the data scientist. I got some slides for you. They might be good, they might not be good. We'll see. Let me know." But you can't do that, my friend. You got to be in there. You got to give an answer. And if you don't know an answer, hey, you know what? That's a great question. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Give me a data research and I'll have an answer for you tomorrow. But you can't be wishy-washy, right? Being wishy-washy is not a soft skill. So keep that in mind, guys. Doodle Dad says, for p-values and stats, maybe describing when you shouldn't do p-value stats for business use case versus when you should, like observation data versus controlled experiments and best practice. Yeah, I could see that. Here, let me think about this. You know what, Doodle Dad? I'm looking at data science project planning, and I'm going to put in a topic of, because Doodle Dad, I think that I appreciate your feedback, your perspective. I think that what you're really describing there is not everything's a data science problem, right? Not everything is even a statistics problem. Sometimes it's just like advanced math, right? So that's what I'm kind of thinking about where it goes. I think I've said this before in my content. When you get to a leadership position, or like an advanced data science lead, senior data scientist, a lot of it is just being able to say, you know what, great idea. That's not a data science project. I can help you, and I'll still work with you, but that's probably not an algorithm we would develop. Like, that right there is like 40% of your job, because you can't take on every data science project. You just can't. Or not everything that people think is a data science project is actually a data science project. So Doodle Dad, I think I'm going to incorporate the what you mentioned there, or the spirit of what you mentioned, in something like that. When should you say, well, no, this is really a statistics problem, and this is also something where you can use a p-value. This is also something that's appropriate for A/B testing, right? Coming back to the previous suggestion about A/B testing. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you guys are on board with that. Harris, so nice to see you. It's been a while, my friend. Hi, Dennis. How are you? I'm doing well. Hope the same for you. Harris, remind me where you were from. I think you were from... Oh, man, I'm usually pretty good at remembering this. Where were you from, Harris? Was it like... I want to say like Albania? No, you know... No, you know why I'm saying that? Because when I was in New York, I used to get my hair cut in an Albanian barbershop, and the guy's there name was Harris. So maybe I'm making that association, but no, Harris, remind me where you're from. But good to see you, my friend. It's been a while, but glad to see you back. Surin says, yes, MMR refers to mean, median, and mode, and range differing between smallest and largest value. Okay, cool. So it looks like Surin and Yabba are in consensus with that. Okay, so talking about soft skills, right? If you guys want to practice in the chat, let's do some group role play, okay? In the chat, I want you to talk to me about MMR. Write me an explanation about MMR, but I'm a managing director, okay? I'm not Dennis the data scientist. I'm Dennis the managing director. For some reason, your dumbass PhD on the team left the word MMR in the slide, which you should never do. They left MMR, and your managing director says, "Hey, what's that MMR thing up there on the screen?" How do you explain it? How do you tell a managing director what MMR is? Write it in the chat. Let's do some group role play, right? We're talking about soft skills. Very important soft skill. Harris says, sorry, it's my mistake because I didn't come regularly from Pakistan. Okay, yeah, from Pakistan. Okay, cool. Welcome, Harris. Look, guys, the last thing I want is for somebody to feel embarrassed and feeling like they can't come back, because I would hate for somebody to feel like, oh, I missed so many of the sessions. I don't want to come back. I don't want to be embarrassed. Guys, just keep on coming back. Life happens. People have different obligations at different times. So Harris, so glad that you're back. Thank you. Just keep on coming back when you can. And, happy to have you here. So it's good to see you, Harris. Shivam says, what discussion is going on here? Shivam, I think it's your first time, so welcome. We are talking about data science. We talk about data science live on stream Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Shivam, the question in front of the chat right now, if for anybody who wants to, role play and practice their soft skills, a managing director in the middle of a meeting in front of everybody just asked you, hey, what is this MMMR thing? How are you going to explain that to a managing director? Let me know in the chat. Some of you might be like, oh, that's too much of a question. I'm not going to answer that. And that's okay, right? If you're too shy to answer that, that's cool. But if you guys want to be brave and, and get my feedback, a managing director just asked you what MMMR is. Well, what do you reply? Remember, soft skills, guys. Soft skills. Managing director. All right? So we'll give you guys another minute to think about that one, because we're coming up on our time here at 9 o'clock. But what do you guys think? So let me keep on continuing here with the different items I want to talk about. Where was I? I was up here at anti-web scraping, technology, and exploration. Oh, right. I was looking at advanced statistics, A/B testing, p-values. I want to talk about confidence intervals, but that's probably more basics of statistics. I have to talk about the students table at some time, right? Can't talk about statistics without the students table. Have to talk about standard deviations, right? When you talk about distributions. What else do I want under advanced statistics? Oh. T-testing. Z-testing. I think that's pretty good there. Alex says, hello, MMR is mean median. You're on the right track, Alex. So Alex, if you're just joining us, how do you explain it to a managing director? Don't explain it to the other data geeks or the other data scientists. How do you explain MMMR? And by the way, it's 3 M's, not 2. How do you explain MMMR to a managing director? So Alex, that's the question the chat is thinking about right now. Let me know your answers in the chat, guys. I don't know. It's a challenging question. If some of you are being shy because it's too much of a challenging question, I get it. But hey, that's what we're here for, right? We're here to challenge each other. Z-testing, yeah, machine learning. Machine learning, somebody added mixed models, which I think is a good idea. Pitfalls of machine learning, we talked about data drift. Okay, Doodle Dad, I love it. Doodle Dad is stepping up, he's taking the challenge. And Doodle Dad says, these are some tools we use to get a bird's eye view of our data before we dive in deeper, how the data is distributed, and a basic understanding of our population. Doodle Dad, you had me at bird's view, you lost me at distributed and population. Good effort though. I love the direction you were headed in, right? But But even the smallest technical-ish sounding terms can kind of throw people off, right? But yeah, I like the fact that you're talking about the bird's eye view, right? It gives you a very high level sense of where the numbers are, right? So yeah, I think you're on the right track there. You're on the right track there. Anybody else? Last call for answers. So shout out to Doodle Dad for, stepping up, because it's not easy to share an answer like that, right? So good for you for stepping up. Anybody else want to step up? How do you explain MMMR to a managing director? Critical soft skills to be able to do that. And by the way, realize that there's also a little bit of a like levels to the soft skill, because one level that we're practicing now is doing it here, like changing the words and changing the way you explain it, right? And we're doing it here in a chat and everything else. It's a whole other thing to do it in a hallway conversation. You're passing another managing director, or they see you at lunch and they quickly ask you a question. To be able to do it on your feet on any number of topics, whole different ability, right? So you're going to be walking by in the hallways or whatever, or riding an elevator with one of the directors, some of the big executives, and they're going to turn to you and they're going to say, hey, you know what? Last night on CNBC, they were talking about those Teslas and they said something about LiDAR versus like computer vision. What is that stuff? Like, I guarantee you're going to have conversations like that, right? 100% you're going to have conversations like that. So can you come up with that, like on your feet as you're walking, down the hallway with somebody, and can you meet them at their level and explain it in a way that they're not going to feel dumb, right? Not easy. Over on YouTube, Shorty says aglometric clustering. Was Shorty? Well, first of all, welcome. I think it might be your first time. Was that an answer to the MMMR? Let me know, Shorty. Help me understand the context of your answer. Okay. Remember, guys, we're talking about MMMR for how do you explain it to a managing director. So Rafa, thank you for stepping up. Rafa says mean and median are different types of averages. Mode is the value that repeats the most often. Range goes from the minimum value to the maximum value of our data set. Yeah, but Rafa, why do we need all that? Like, why are you wasting my time telling me about the ranges? Why do I need to know this? That's what they're going to reply, right? You've given me a definition. Now give me the utility. Like, Doodle Dad was on that right track, right? Because he was explaining about why you would want to know that. So Rafa, I think that's the most likely answer they're going to give you, right? Like, yeah, stop with the definition, but like, why do I need this? So think about that. Last call for answer, guys. Last call for answers. We've gone a little bit over the time today, but that's okay. But look, I fully expect that some of you are going to walk away from this and have other thoughts or other curriculum items that you'd want added. So please feel free to message me, or feel free to just keep on coming back. I'm going to be streaming Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Sundays, we're doing our series on neural networks. It is lesson 3 this week. We're going to be doing some coding this week, so that'll be fun. But yeah, feel free to keep on coming back. If you want to book a one-on-one session like Doodle Dad did today, feel free to do that too. I love working with people one-on-one. I walk you through, well, first of all, I do my research on you, try to walk in prepared. And then I give you a full report that includes my notes, maybe includes some things for you to think about, includes some planning for you. And, it's just something I really enjoy. My clients get a lot out of it. I have a wonderful, wonderful roster of clients now that I work with doing that. So if that interests you, let me know. Okay. So we're going to say Shorty is the last answer here. Shorty says mean reciprocal rank is a metric used to. No, Shorty. This is MMMR. So we've already established, as people have correctly pointed out, it means mean, median, mode, and range, right? Excuse me. I think any good statistician would know that, right? And data scientists are good statisticians. But how do you explain that to the average person? So Shorty, I think you may have come in a little bit later, but we were talking about soft skills. And this makes for an interesting soft skills challenge, right? I mean, how do you survive in a corporate environment being a data scientist without sounding like a big geek, right? Because nobody talks to the big geek, right? Nobody shows up to the math guys meetings. You don't want to be that guy, right? Nobody will talk to you. So that's kind of what we were working on. Manoj, so good to see you. Our good friend from Bangalore, India, says those are the brief representations of our data. Ooh, strong entry. Brief representations of our data. Yeah. MMMR are quick summaries of our data, right? So yeah, brief representations. I'm on board with that. Nice. Manoj coming in strong at the last minute. Coming in strong at the last minute with a great answer. Yeah, Manoj, I'm on board with that. Abdullah, nice to see you. Good to see you again, my friend. Hello, Dennis. This is Abdullah. I'm so honored to be part of 1,000 students. Hope you reach it before August 1st. Yes, Abdullah, thank you so much. Abdullah, you have indeed signed up. We have a couple of people right now who have already signed up. Manoj, Denelson, Surin. So thank you all for being supporters. I hope to reach 1,000 too. I'm going to stay optimistic, guys. I'm going to keep on having these sessions. I'm going to keep inviting people to come back. These sessions also help to keep me accountable, make sure that I'm making good progress towards the school. It helps you guys see that the school is actually happening, right? It's not just some pipe dream. This isn't Fire Festival, guys. I'm actually working on this, right? So yeah, Abdullah, thank you so much for your support, both of the school and my content. I know you've been a long time watcher, so thank you so much for that. But I'm going to stay optimistic that we're going to reach 1,000, but keep on coming back. If you want to keep on having a voice, keep on giving your feedback and how the school takes shape, please keep on coming back. You can also go to school.datasciencewithdennis to kind of see what I have posted and see how things are kind of headed and the direction that I want to go in. I think it's a pretty reasonable direction for data science. And I'm just going to stay optimistic. Yeah, so as I said, guys, today's also my 1-year anniversary of business. I finally posted a day in the life video, so go check that out. But otherwise, I think we're going to stop here for now. But really appreciate all of you. Keep on coming back Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Same time, 1500 GMT. So whatever time you logged in today, I'll be here at that same time. But as always, guys, we live in a crazy, dynamic world, and I worry about all of you from India, from Pakistan, from the US, from all these great viewers that I have around the world. I worry about you guys. I sincerely do. So take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you guys next time.